Hey yo, what is groovy? What is good? It's your boy Papa Capes, and we are back with yet another Raid Shadow Legends video. Thank you so much to Raid for sponsoring this video and for hooking us up with our own download link that you can find in the description down below. Using that link directly supports me, directly supports the channel, and just helps us continue building what we are building right here, yo. Starting out with my link, whether it's you, a friend, a family member, or anybody that's part of your community, will instantly give you access to Stolen Foulbeard. And as you continue to level up and progress just a little bit, you'll be greeted by Ugo, Tagore, and Mausoleum Mage. Right now is also a fantastic time to start Raid because you can use the code RAID7 for Pelops the Victor or code WRATH for Padrake. And if you're looking at getting one more legendary, which will give you a triple legendary start, right now Skeletor has returned in an ongoing in-game event where all you have to do is log in for 7 days and you'll get access to yet another legendary named Skeletor. What a time to start Raid. Get involved. We're having a great time and we're vibing, yo. So for the last few days, I've been thinking about a little something. And if you saw my upload a few days ago, you would have seen that I made a video about the faux LAN fusion that's currently ongoing. So let's go and take a look at him. I'm not saying Folan, I'm saying faux LAN, just so that we don't get confused between faux LAN and Tholan. Anyway, I have been pondering on this since the day I made that video. And I had to be realistic with myself and I had to be quite honest with myself. And I came to the next conclusion. I changed my mind. I'll put my hand up. I accept accountability. And there's tons of you in the comments that added crazy amounts of value. And then also just having a conversation or two with some of my homies, yeah? So the main reason that I wanted to go for him, and this is where I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. The main reason I wanted to go for Folan Silverheart wasn't because of him necessarily. I tried to convince myself. Yes, sitting here listening to what I'm saying is kind of crazy, but I promised you guys I'm always going to be honest and transparent, so this is me doing exactly that. It wasn't about going for Folan. It wasn't about adding him to my account. Yes, I tried to convince myself that it's going to add value, that it's going to impact my account, that the only damage dealer I have in Silver Hearts is Lemonisi, but there's a lot that I said, but I've changed my mind. And I actually made the decision that I'm no longer going to be going for this fusion. Now, hear me out. This wasn't a decision that I made today. It was literally a decision that I made maybe 2 to 3 hours after the fusion event went live. I just want to talk about that just a little bit. The only event that I did was the champ training. And I want to comment on this just real quick. As you can see, we've got 10 fragments out of 100 for him. And this was due to doing the champ training. So whilst I did the champ training, I need to preface this by saying that for a week or two since the Masahiro fusion, the game felt a little less exciting. Now hear me out. I am not saying Raid is boring. I am not saying it's the game's fault. I'm saying that the way I chose to play the game in that time period made the game feel almost a little bit stale. And if I have to go to an extreme word, boring. And that's when I realized that the reason I wanted to go for this fusion wasn't because I needed the champion, wasn't because I was excited about the champion, but I was actually excited about everything else that comes with doing a fusion in Raid. And when you talk about activities that you engage in when doing a fusion, you talk about the shard pools, you talk about summoning champs, you talk about spending resources, you talk about participating in events, you talk about feeling engaged with the game. And for those 2 to 3 weeks after the Masahiro fusion, that was lacking for me. Again, I need to be blatantly clear that this isn't because the game is bad or the game is boring or any of that things. These are just time periods, especially as an early game, maybe an early mid-game player. There's certain moments where stagnation is evident. There's certain moments where the excitement is no longer there because, especially for me, I can only speak from my experience and from my perspective. But what I've learned is that managing resources in Raid is absolutely crucial. And since the Masahiro fusion, I made the decision to manage resources quite aggressively. Don't get me wrong, I'm nowhere near perfect. I think I popped like 20 ancient shards just because I could. But baby steps, right? We're still making progress when it comes to saving energy, when it comes to saving silver, when it comes to saving gems, when it comes to saving shards. I've never, in my entirety of playing this game, ever saved resources or approached the game from a resource management perspective until the Masahiro fusion. So I'm also not saying that's not the right way to play Raid. I'm also not saying that's the wrong way to play Raid. What I'm saying is I feel, my perspective, it is the correct way if you're looking at long-term rewards and long-term gains and actual impactful champions being added to your account, because it gives you that luxury of being able to choose exactly which champion you want to go for. That's guaranteed. It takes out the RNG entirely when it comes to fusions, and more so now with fusion tokens, which is another thing that Folan doesn't provide, is that fusion token. So yes, I've only got one fusion token right now. I don't even know which champion I would go for because I don't like window shopping. So only once I get to a place where I've got that third fusion token will I go in and do some research to these champions that you could potentially get and see if it's worth changing in or out or whatever the case may be when the time comes. But one thing that is truly interesting is that I can confidently say this had nothing to do with FOMO. For the first time, I can confidently say that the reason I wanted to go for this fusion had nothing to do with FOMO. I wasn't scared of missing out on a champion. I wasn't scared of missing out on this champion. I wasn't scared of missing out on potentially doing Folan. What I was scared of missing out on is starting something, investing all the resources and not getting the reward. But it had nothing to do with the champion. What I was scared of missing out on was playing the game. And when I did that champion training tournament, it felt awesome. I was having fun. I literally didn't use a single bit of energy in that champion training tournament because of the amount of effort I put in between the Masahiro fusion and the Folan fusion. I literally had so much food stocked up that without touching my energy, I was able to get the 10 frags. Now, I'm not saying that's an amazing feat, but the last time in the Masahiro fusion, I used a ton of energy because of the poor planning that went into that fusion. When I was doing the champion training event, it made me happy. I was excited to play the game. I was engaging in the game. I was doing my champ training, ranking up champions, ascending champions, leveling them up, and it's just been so long since I've been able to play the game and engage in the game every single day the way I used to, right? But keep in mind, if we go back to the way I used to play Raid, it was how could I get the most dopamine instantly and consistently. Whether that dopamine would last for 3 seconds or 5 seconds, whether the dopamine is simply just using gems to buy shards, more so than the results of pulling those shards. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the important part that made me realize I was in the wrong and I was making a bad decision for where my account was at. Especially as a low spender, you don't have that luxury of simply going for everything, especially when you're just starting out with this new approach and this new perspective of treating Raid more so like a resource management game as opposed to just spending all of your resources. But it all came down to that one crucial realization, which is there was nothing about Folan or this fusion that I was scared of missing out on. The thing that I was scared of missing out on was playing the game. I miss playing the game. But when I stripped everything away, when I stripped it down to its bare minimum, I realized there's no fusion token. There's no must-have champion that's going to be game-changing on my account. There's no major account-changing value that having him on my account would add to my account. So then the decision became pretty simple. Save the resources, stay disciplined, and keep moving towards the bigger goals. Keep moving towards the goals that are going to impact my account, that's going to be game-changing on my account, that's going to make that patience and that discipline feel worth it. Not having a slip-up after 2 to 3 weeks of discipline and then regretting the discipline and also regretting the decision to waste the resources as a result of that discipline or the lack thereof. So that's the decision that I have made. I am no longer going for the fusion. I stopped right after securing those 10 frags from the champ training. Siki actually played a big role in this as well, because he initially told me, Capes, if you're going for the fusion, I'm going for the fusion. So you tell me, are you going for the fusion or not? So I'm like, wait, Siki, you are not as emotionally invested in this champion as I am. Well, not the champion. In what going for the fusion means, that you're able to play the game, that you're able to have fun again, all of those things. Not have fun again. You get the picture though, right? So he was like, okay, we're not going for it. Done. As he said that, the idea of going for this fusion was out of my brain and I was content. And I was actually almost relieved because that allowed for me to go back to the drawing board and ensure that we continue planning for the next fusion. And a lot of your comments added tons of value. Some people said that if you go for this fusion with the state that your account is currently in terms of resources, it will be the only thing in this event that you could participate in. And why do that on the first event? You never know what's in store. Some people said literally like you won't be able to with the resources on your account. A lot of people were also like positive and in my corner, which I appreciate. I appreciate you guys a ton, because maybe it would have been possible. I certainly feel it would have been possible to secure this fusion. So I'm not pulling out of it because of fear of failure, but I'm pulling out of it because of a realization and clarity that my intentions were not ever on the champion, but I just missed playing Raid, and I wanted to play the game the way I used to play the game. And that is why we had that moment of weakness. And these things happen. These things happen, but we learn from it and we grow from it, and that's okay. Sometimes the hardest thing in Raid, especially mid-game Raid, isn't doing something. It's choosing not to do anything. So I'm curious, have you ever convinced yourself that you need to go for something within Raid whilst you're playing the game? Have you ever convinced yourself that you had to do this event, or you had to do this fusion, or you needed this champion, or you needed that gear, or you needed that pass, or whatever the case may be? Have you found yourself ever convincing yourself more so than needed to do something on your account, only to realize that you were actually chasing something else, and that was just some methodology that you used to potentially convince yourself to do it anyway? Please let me know down in the comments below. It's literally one of my favorite things to do, especially on the last video. So I'm excited that once this video goes live, to meet you guys in the comments once again so that we can continue this conversation. And yeah, let me know right after you hit that like button and that subscribe button. We are early in our YouTube journey and we are pushing towards the first milestone of 1,000 subs. All the support is truly appreciated. Thank you so much to Raid for sponsoring this video and for hooking us up with our own download link. Using that link directly supports me, directly supports the channel. And yeah, it is Sunday, or at least at the time of recording this video. I hope you've had a fantastic weekend. It's cold out here in South Africa. We stay vibing. Happiness is a choice. Kindness is free. Leave your mark, yo. Peace out.